She's passionate about telling stories of amazing women who are rocking the world and empowering women to live, love, and thrive. Here's your host, Katherine Gray.
Hi, everybody. It's a blissful day today, and you're going to find out why in just a minute. First of all, I just want to know if you're joining our empowerment conversation on our Facebook, 360 Karma, and also following us on Twitter and Instagram at My360 Karma. So today, I have on an amazing lady. She calls herself the Blissful Millionaire. I mean, who doesn't want that title? I know I do. And she's been seen on ABC, NBC, Fox, and many other shows. We are so happy to have Moneeka Sawyer with us today. So happy to have her beautiful energy on our set. Please give a warm welcome to Moneeka. Hi, Moneeka. I finally got it right.
You did. My husband calls me Unica Moneeka.
Oh, I like that. I like that. That'll help me to remember. Yeah. But no, I love the energy you bring in the room, and I know you flew in from San Jose.
I did, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about your book, Choose Bliss.
Yes.
And about your amazing journey to becoming a real estate millionaire, and how you help other women and people do that as well.
Yes.
I don't think anybody listening doesn't want to hear this story.
Yay!
We're all curious.
Yeah.
But I know it started with your parents were immigrants here.
Yeah.
And you told me they came here as many do, with like $200 in their pocket.
$200. Can you imagine?
Hard to fathom.
Yeah, and they were newlyweds. They barely knew each other.
Wow.
Because in India, you have arranged marriages.
Oh, okay. So they came from what city in India?
Bombay. Actually, Pune. But
okay, near Bombay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so they settled in Ohio.
They did.
Yeah, until they came to their senses. And then at 7 you moved to California, right?
That's right.
And been here ever since.
That's right. Thank goodness.
Yeah,
I still remember making snow angels.
No offense to the Ohio people. Sorry about that.
It's a lot warmer here.
That's what we were trying to say.
Yeah.
But, you know, so tell me, how did you end up in real estate yourself? So your dad ventured into real estate first, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So
or your parents.
That's right. So they had heard, but even before they came here, that the golden ticket to wealth in the United States was to buy real estate.
Wow, they heard that.
So
huh?
they heard that. And
speaking of the golden ticket, have you ever read Brenda Burchard's book, The Golden Ticket?
I have not.
Oh my God, it's a great book. So
Good.
anyway,
I'll read that.
side note.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Life's golden ticket. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So they came here, $200, and they wanted to invest in real estate. How do you do that with $200? Like, how did they get started?
So Dad, they basically saved nickels and dimes.
Wow.
Like, you know, they bought their first house together, and Mom, you know, she's an MD. My mom's a doctor.
Oh.
But she took her beautiful Indian fabrics and, like, sewed curtains for the house and cushions for the sofa so they could save every single nickel and dime.
Does that mean you're frugal? Are you frugal?
I'm not.
You're not. We're either like our parents or we're the opposite, right?
Well, I don't know that I'm necessarily the opposite, but I just have a different attitude about money. So it's not that I spend a lot of money, but I'm not frugal. I wouldn't call myself that.
So let me ask you this. Was she a doctor in India, or did she become a doctor here?
She was a doctor in India.
Okay.
Which is really unusual for women in her time.
Yes.
So,
she was a trailblazer.
Totally a trailblazer.
Yeah,
She's
so
like
you got
my
that
total
DNA.
role model. That's right.
Yeah.
She's an amazing woman.
Yeah.
So, she's all about the empowerment of women. So she brought up 3 very strong daughters. Which I'm grateful for.
So what kind of jobs were they working? They're saving up. They bought their house. So it started with buying a house.
They bought their own house, and then I was born, and they were like, "We've got to create the life for this child," and so they like really saved, and they eventually, when I was about 3, bought their very first rental property.
Oh.
And then it kind of grew from there.
Yeah.
And then when I turned 18, they paid for my college education.
Wow.
From real estate.
Wow.
So, and then they did the same for my 2 sisters. Then they paid for our weddings. You know, like they've done a lot.
Yes.
And this is sort of fast forward, but now they live in a 4-bedroom house on a lake so that us girls can come home whenever we want.
Nice.
And they're living the lifestyle they deserve after all those years of hard work.
That is wonderful.
Right?
And don't we all want that for our parents and for
yeah.
ourselves?
Yeah,
yeah.
right. And so it was really inspiring for me.
Right.
So,
but you told me he sat you down and gave you some really good advice.
He did. So right when I got out of college,
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out my life.
Yeah.
And I wanted to follow in their footsteps, but I had seen my dad stressed out about real estate. We've all heard the horror stories, right?
Yes.
And so I didn't want that.
Yeah.
So I was really afraid. And I remember sitting down with my dad trying to figure it out and telling him how scared I was. And he said to me, Moneeka, everybody has fear and everybody has money issues. Do you want poor people money issues, or are you going to conquer your fear and have rich people money issues?
Right.
And
it is two different issues.
There's two different issues, and
yeah.
everybody's got them, you
Right.
know? It's just how do we choose to deal with them?
It's almost like that rich dad, poor dad philosophy. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so he inspired you to get into real estate.
That's right. That's right.
And what was your first venture into real estate?
So my husband and I bought our first house together. That was easy. But then when I wanted to buy our next house, or when we did, I needed to decide whether I was going to become a landlord with my old property or I was going to sell it. And because of that conversation with my dad, I decided to hold on to it. Now, I will say my very first venture into real estate was a nightmare. It was hard.
Right.
It was what everybody thinks it is.
Yeah.
Right?
And if anybody's been around long enough, we've all been in that situation where the market falls and you end up holding the bag, and it causes a lot of bankruptcies for people. So
Right.
that's, I think, a lot of people have that mindset about venturing in over their head. So
Right.
how did you navigate that? Because I think this is invaluable information for our listeners who grapple with that.
Yes.
They want to have wealth, they want to invest in real estate, but like you said, they're fearful. But they're fearful for a good reason,
Right.
because people have been burned by it. So help us out with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're right. You're putting a lot of money in, and it can be really scary. The thing that you have to really understand about real estate is it's a long-term play.
Right.
A lot of people go in there thinking it's going to appreciate in 2 years, or I'm going to flip this house, or whatever it is that they want to do. They want to make quick money.
Right.
The reality is that real estate cycles. So if you give yourself enough time, you can recover from anything that happens.
Right.
So I'll give you an example. I bought a place for $1 million in 2008 at the top of the market. Within 6 months, I had lost $300,000.
Right.
But I had a long-term plan. So I rented it out. Rents were good because people weren't buying houses.
Right.
And I carried it. Now, I'm over that,
Right.
over that, right?
Right.
But it's taken time to
Right.
recover. So whenever you're investing in real estate,
You have to have time.
give yourself as much time as you can. It's
It
a
almost seems the
long-term
same
strategy.
for whatever investment you do.
Yeah.
Even if it's stocks, it is over time.
Yeah.
Even
And
though
the
I
thing
know
is,
you're an advocate of real estate, but
I
no
do
mat-
both.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do both.
Oh,
And
perfect.
actually, anybody who's going to talk to me, who talks to me, is going to find out that I'm very conservative.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have liquid assets because real estate will make you really rich, but it's not liquid.
Right.
So, for instance, in a time when things are crashing and things are going wrong, you want to be able to have some money to buoy you up
Right.
through the hard times, right?
Right. And it is cyclical. So, it's, if we've been around long enough, we've seen it all go up and we've seen it all go down, whether it's a housing market or the stock market.
Right.
And when it's just going up, and everybody's saying, oh, it'll never go back down. Never going to happen.
Right.
I mean, it's at an all-time high. There's just no way it's never going to recalculate.
It will always,
it will always correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you give yourself time, you'll recover. And in general, in real estate, and this is not 100% true in all the markets, but in general, over time, it has an upward trend. So even the corrections are not going to correct all the way down.
Like
Now
the story you just told us.
Right.
Where you bought for $1 million, it went down 300,000. but then it came up and surpassed that because
That's
you
right.
held on long enough. The problem is, I think most people, when that $1 million home went down to 700, they sell it and say, "Oh well, I took a $300,000 loss,"
They
rather
freak
than
out.
waiting it out.
That's
and
right.
that's really the secret sauce.
Right. It really
Wait it out.
is about
It's a 20
emotional
like
mastery.
a 20-year.
I would say 10 is
10-year.
fine at least.
Yeah.
And that's not sexy.
Yeah.
People want the 2-year or the, I made $100,000 in 2 days flipping a house, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
and people do,
Right.
but it's not the norm, and it's not, as,
And it's, the truth is this.
Yeah.
You can do stuff like that. You're going to be much more successful if you understand the way real estate works.
Right.
And most people who get into it and think it's really sexy, they just don't understand how things really work.
Right.
So I've done it.
Yeah.
Right? But I'd been in the market for 10 years already. I kind of understood how things work.
So right now, some of the listeners, viewers, may be saying, "I hate her."
I hope not.
because they want to be millionaires, and it's like, how did she get from here to there? But we're going to tell them about your story, because it wasn't an easy road to where you are now.
Yeah.
Yes, you are a blissful millionaire, and you have written a fantastic book called Choose Bliss for everyone to enjoy. But I do like to go back to the struggles everyone has to get to where they're at, and you have had your share. And I want to share that with our audience because people will relate to that. So tell me a little bit about your high school days and getting to where you are before you are in this happy marriage and happy life.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So, so I was born in Ohio at a time, this is going to date me, but because it's not like this anymore, but I was the only non-white person there.
Right, wow.
And so I was really humiliated, bullied, tormented constantly.
Wow, that is so hard to believe, isn't it?
It is really
yeah,
hard.
Just being the person I am, and I don't have any, I love diversity, and I don't see that. I can never understand how people have a problem with it. It just baffles me.
And we're
go-
so grateful that it's not like that anymore as
Right,
much. So
right.
it's really good.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's kind of how I grew up. So I grew up scared, thinking people weren't going to like me, trying to be a pleaser, and depressed. When I got into high school.
And I can't imagine you depressed. Like, what a sad thing it is with the beautiful light that you have, that you were feeling depressed. But, especially with children, it happens. And
it happens.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we can pull out of that.
Right.
Right? And
Yes.
that's kind of what this journey has been, because
Right.
truly finding my happiness has been my life journey.
Right.
And that's where it started. And in a way, that was a gift.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So when I got into high school, the bullying took a new form of boys doing bad things to girls because I was a pleaser.
Right.
And so then I went away to college, and I thought, finally, I'm out of there. I have a new life and a new start. That kind of bullying happened again. Then I was in a horrible car accident and became a cripple.
What does that mean?
So I was in a really bad car accident. This was not my fault.
Right.
And my hips popped out. My legs got crushed.
Oh, my
so I couldn't
gosh.
walk. So
Wow.
as you know, I started dancing when I was 5.
Right.
Dance was my life. I wanted to be a professional dancer, and now I couldn't even walk.
Oh, my gosh.
So
What a horrific thing.
it was horrible, and that's its own big story.
Its own journey.
But yeah, everything in life can empower us, but I will tell you that was really, really hard. And I
Really
felt
tough.
like life just kept getting worse. So I did what many of us do. I got married because my man was going to fix it. And as much as he wanted to, and as amazing as he is, he couldn't fix my life. I had to do that.
Right.
So I went into a huge depression, and for about 2 years, just down, down, down. And then I remember one morning, I had been in bed for a week crying, because that's what depressive people do.
Right. Right.
And the covers over my head.
Yeah, and everybody, I think, in life, at some point in their life, most people have
Some
related
level
to
of
some
that. Yeah.
level of depression,
Right.
yeah, or sadness,
Right.
yeah.
And I just remember thinking, it just keeps getting worse. Like, I can't do this.
Right.
And I heard my mom's voice in my head, and she's like, Moneeka, you had to go outside and get some air. You'll feel better. I hear my mom, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
is she still with you?
she is.
Aw,
Yeah, thank
yeah.
goodness. So I push the covers off my head, and I try to get out of bed, and my legs are so weak they won't hold me because I'm still recovering. So I fall to the ground. And then I just sit up against my bed crying. And I prayed. I just basically said, God, I can't keep doing this. So either have mercy and take me home or show me how to live. And about an hour later, a girlfriend who hadn't called me in years, this is so random, I say this was the gift from God.
Wow.
She calls me to find out how I'm doing and turned me on to her coach. And he brought me back to life.
Wow.
So he reminded me that as children, we're all born as these little bundles of bliss, right?
Yes.
We're so excited to be alive, all
yeah.
the things we're going to learn.
I see that in our grandson.
Right. Like
Yeah.
there's this perspective, right?
Yeah.
And then as we grow older, we learn how hard life can be and how
Right.
mean people can be.
Yeah.
And we lose a lot of that joy.
Right.
And not everybody, but many of us. And so he reminded me that that's where we start, and we can get that back.
Wow.
Now, on my journey, I was a self-help junkie, right? Because I wanted to find a better way.
Right.
So I had a lot of wisdom already,
Right.
but it was sort of applying that wisdom into my life to make it work, and
Right.
that's what he brought to me.
Right.
So together we lifted me back up,
Right.
and
So we do have that within us. Sometimes it's a matter of just tapping into it and applying it.
that's right, and that's
Right.
why I wrote the book.
Right.
Because I've developed those strategies, and I became an executive coach, and I've taught a lot of people these strategies on how to tap into it, how to choose it.
Right.
Because here's the thing. We can't control what anybody does to us. We can't control the world. We can't control what happens. We can always control how we choose to respond.
Right.
Right? And putting yourself in a place that you have that emotional resilience and emotional mastery, that you can make those choices when they need to be made.
Yeah.
And that's what the book is all about, is those strategies and techniques to do that.
I love that. I'm a big believer in that we choose and create our own fate,
Right.
and that everything in our life from the time we get up in the morning is a choice. We can choose to be happy, be kind, be loving, and all of those things manifest into a bliss.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so,
And so you wrote the book so you could reach more people.
that's right. As a coach, I could only do so much.
Right.
Right. So the book allowed me to get the message out to more people. And boy, I have been so pleased at the reception it has gotten in the market.
I love it.
So thank you, everybody, for paying attention.
Yeah.
It's so important. That's what life's about.
It is.
Being happy, being joyful. That's why we do everything we do.
So now I know you're also a big proponent of it's okay to manifest wealth, because then that allows you to give back and do the things you love.
Right.
Now, I know your passion is to help children in India.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you use a lot of your proceeds toward that to give
Right.
back, which I always love, on this show, really about having on women who are successful that are giving back and paying it forward.
Right.
Like that's what I think we're meant to do here. But in your very work that you do, you're actually giving back and paying it forward, because you're helping people to find the bliss and
That's
and do what they love. And
so that they then can focus.
Yeah.
Like if once you've got that money piece handled,
Yes.
you can then focus on
Right.
what is it you're passionate about? What's your mission? Who do you want to serve and
Right.
how?
Yeah.
And that's what it allows for me, right? I can go to India and
Yeah.
help the children. I can
Right.
support that school monetarily.
Right.
Right? For me, it's a really big deal that women in India become equal.
yes,
And so we're building.
and here too.
Right, I know. And fortunately, we've made a lot more headway here.
We
but
have.
it's happening there. But part of what
And you say we've made a lot of headway here, but the disparity's still staggering.
it is.
The
It
number of CEOs in tech companies, 5% women, in our government, not even 20% women. I mean, the disparity here, granted, better
Yes,
than
yes,
India
yes.
and some other countries, but I'm so excited that we're on this women's empowerment mission and journey to have more gender parity.
Yes.
And thanks to people like you that are helping raise women up and empower them, I know we're going to accelerate that path.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a philosophy in this school that I'm a part of, which is it's not just girls in the school. Because if you take a girl and you educate her and then you throw her back into a community, she's going to get beaten down.
Yeah.
It's really important
To educate the men too.
the boys
I
too.
absolutely am a big
Yes.
proponent of that. Yes.
And so that's what the school does, is it educates the boys and the girls
oh, I
about
love
equality.
that. Oh, that's great.
So yeah, and we do get a lot of that.
Is this back
here.
in your hometown by any chance?
No, it's in Bangalore. It's affiliated with the
Oh.
temple that I've been going to here in the United States.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
Great work you're doing.
Thank you.
So you have a website,
Yes.
and it is
blissfulinvestor.com.
okay. So blissfulinvestor.com. I would go to that to be able to connect with you and find out information about how one could learn to be an investor.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. So my book is on there too, so you'll be able to find that, which I highly encourage. It's
Yeah.
available on Amazon.
Yeah.
But the Blissful Investor, if you go there, the thing that I have there for people is a gift, which is how did I start with $10,000 and grow it to multiple millions of dollars?
I love that.
The whole strategy, like
So-
year by year.
So anybody can start.
Anybody can start.
Yeah.
It's available to all of us. And in the
Right.
United States, we're rewarded for doing that in
Right.
so many ways.
Yes. So you think no matter what profession someone's in, whether they're a nurse, a lawyer, or working at the shoe store, or whatever their
Right.
job, that everyone could be a real estate investor to help build their wealth.
Right.
And
And what
that's-
I want to say about this is that it can be stressful.
Mm-hmm.
So learn the strategies. You can learn them from my book. You can learn them from working with me. Learn the strategies on how to make it blissful.
Because I know you said when you got into this, you said, I do not want to be in a burnout position.
That's right.
You know,
This was
and now,
part-time.
right. And now you've been doing it for like 25 years, and you said that you work like 10, 15 hours a month or something at it. And so that's something doable for anybody. So even if they have a full-time job, to put 10 or 15 hours a month into their real estate seems a month sounds
Yeah.
very doable and realistic.
Right.
Yeah.
And then keeping the strategy so that it's low stress, low time, so that it doesn't intrude on your life.
Right.
So you can do those other things, you know.
Curious, this market of Los Angeles is very expensive.
Yes.
So it seems like a barrier of entry to a lot of people. They say only 12% of people in Los Angeles can afford to buy a home. What would you suggest to someone like that, buying outside of the market?
You can.
I mean, I have you here. I'm going to pick your
Yeah,
brain.
good, yeah. Well, I live in the Silicon Valley, so it's
Yeah.
also very, very expensive. So I
Yes.
get this question quite a lot.
Yeah.
You know, here's the thing. Save money, buy your own home.
Right.
Start there.
Right. But
Because
but
once you have
what
that-
if you're in an expensive market? So
Yeah, but you
buy it
can-
in another market, or
Well, I would actually say find the ways to buy, because your primary residence you can get for 3% down.
right.
You can get for 5% down.
Right.
Primary residence is really easy to get into. It still takes, you have to save money, but you can use your 401k for that. I mean, there's all sorts of government programs,
Right.
first-time home buyers.
But what about an expensive market where, okay, you get the down payment, but still the monthlies
to be
can
able
be
to
really
afford
high.
it. Yeah. I would say, you know, if you want to go to another market, that's fine.
Yeah.
I like to stay in a market that I understand, because then I've got my thumbprint on the pulse
Right.
of it.
So everything you invest in is in your area?
It is. It is. It always
Interesting.
has been. And I've just
Yeah.
bitten the bullet. It's hard.
Yeah, I have other
You know?
women millionaire friends that are in another state, and they do only buy in their market that they know. So that's interesting advice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's hard. You know what? It's hard.
Yeah.
It's always been hard. It will
Yeah.
always be hard.
Right.
You have to make a decision about what your priorities are.
Right.
You
But
know?
it is a pathway to wealth, and if you want to learn it and study it, and so your program assists people with
It does.
educating them on how to get from here to there?
That's right.
Beautiful.
So I've got a 2-day workshop that teaches you sort of how to do it blissfully.
Is this
and all my
online
wisdom.
or in
It's
person?
both. It's
Both.
virtual
Perfect.
live. Yeah.
I love
So
that.
I've got clients from Canada and England and all
Yeah.
over the United States.
Yeah.
And then we also do a mastermind that helps people to actually take action. Because
love
that's
it.
the thing. Unless you act, nothing happens.
So blissfulinvestor.com,
Yes.
and they can pick up your book, Choosing Bliss.
Choose bliss.
Choose Bliss.
Yes.
And they could take your workshop if they're really interested in finding out about
Yeah.
how to become a real estate millionaire.
Yes,
Yeah.
just like me.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I love it. And your enthusiasm is contagious, and love having you on the show. And I'm glad that you're helping empower other people.
Thank you so
Beautiful
much.
thing.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we will be back next week with another wonderful guest. Just love enjoying bringing you these powerful and empowering women every week. And hope that you'll get empowered yourself by joining us on our website. We believe in creating your fate and connecting you with resources to help you do that. So we will see you next week. Hugs and happiness. Make it a great one.